Thanks, everybody. As always, a bank stands between you and your lunch break. We have this habit as banks of standing between people and their goals. I'm from the UK, so obviously our relationship with our customers starts with distrust in the back of what happened almost a decade ago. So I'm used to it, and I've become a bit cynical about it, so please kind of forgive me if I become a bit over-cynical. So the way this is going to go is we are going to tell you a bit about Lloyds. I'm going to do a bit of brand marketing. Yeah. But then more importantly, I will set the scene in terms of why in banking having customer research is such a big challenge. I mean, so we have got some significant challenges when we talk about research in the banking area. And then Lucinda will obviously go on to explain how we have used something quite innovatively to kind of overcome a part of that challenge. And then in the end, we'll close up by understanding what we gained out of that methodology, and then obviously open it up for Q&A. So a bit about Lloyds Banking Group. It is the largest retail bank supporting 30 million customers in the UK. We've got around 16 million active online customers, out of which over 10 million are mobile users. We do a lot about helping Britain prosper. We've lent out £124,000 startup businesses we have supported over the last year. 12.4 billion is what we lend to first-time home buyers. 1 in every 4 mortgages that is given out in the UK is from the Lloyds Banking Group. And then obviously we do provide a lot of financial support to the victims of domestic and financial abuse, and also are helping sustainable retailers with obviously lending them money. We also support the armed forces, the rehabilitation centres, so we have a commitment of funding money to build those in the UK. But I think the most fascinating part of it is that people don't realise we are not one bank. We are 3 high street brands, and we are 9 brands. So Lloyds Bank, Halifax Bank, Bank of Scotland, and MBNA are proper banks. We've then got Schroders, we've got Scottish Widows, we've got Black Horse, which is our insurance, we've got Lex Autolease, which is car insurance, we've got Birmingham Midshires, AMC, LDC, and IWEB, and that's all Lloyds Banking Group, 9 brands across the UK. And we are a very old bank. Does anyone want to take a guess how old Lloyds Banking Group is? 1765, 254 years. And from now on, I shall refer to you as my lords and ladies. How art thou? Yeah? Well, so as you can see, it is a really old, established bank. We were bank before there was bank. Yeah? So that kind of gives us some kind of significant kind of challenges. But before I introduce myself, the handsome guy to the right is myself. As you can see, heavily photoshopped photo, which kind of, now you know it's Photoshop because I need facial care products.
It's Anurag at his brother's wedding, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. You shouldn't have told that. But there you go, and then obviously I have the pretty Lucinda on the right-hand side. So obviously, I've been working in the financial industry 15 years. I live and breathe the money management experience, so I'm passionate about how people manage their money and how we as banks can not be draconian and can help them manage their money, which is every one of you. Because what's common between all of us? We all earn money. Yeah? We all manage it. Correct? Hand on heart, how many of you would have been here if your company was not paying for it, if you were not getting paid? Good. Yeah? So there are a few. Yeah? Money makes the world go round. Yeah? Does it? Indeed, it does. But the problem is, over the years, I've realized that people have got 3 different personalities. Right? I'm not saying all of you are having multiple personality disorder by any means, but all of us have got multiple personalities. At high level, there are 3 personalities. You have a personality which is a bit more on the cultural, social, and religious, right? So we all have a personality which is more about cultural, social, and religious bits. Then we have got a professional personality, which is what is on demonstration here. We all here with our professional personalities in this room. But there is a money personality, which we all have, right? And the problem is, it's one of those dark web things that people shut down when we talk about money. Who here can tell me how much they're paid? Who is a millionaire here? Come on, guys, talk to me. Yeah? Okay, how many of you have money in a savings ISA account? See, I'm going to be a very unpopular man in this room, right? If I go on. But unfortunately, it's my job. I need to understand how you spend your money so I can tell you how can I help you manage it better. But unfortunately, it's one of those things that people shut down. How many of you go on social media and say, I've bought Y thing which has costed me X pounds? You always say you bought X, Y, and Z, right? But you never go about bragging about how much you've spent on it. Woohoo, Monday morning I got my salary, £1 million. Who tweets that? Who tweets that? No one, right? So there's very less actually on social media about money, because money is something people are used to talk within the confines of their room. Maybe you'll share a bit of details with your partner, with your family, but you're never going to obviously tweet about it. Here's a scenario, right? All of you go back in the evening, and you all put out a tweet on how great Qual 360 is, right? You wake up in the morning, two things have happened. Your tweet has been deleted by someone, and the mortgage that is due to go out tomorrow morning from your account hasn't gone out, or maybe your child's fee, or maybe, let's say, your rental. Which out of these two things will be you more concerned about? The tweet that has been taken out, or the money that has not gone out? Yeah? Money, right? Yeah? And the problem is, people shut down when you try to do any research. People don't post and talk about money on social forums. So any research is very difficult to come by. And that's kind of what I really wanted to bring out. I said, this is just kind of, the diagram shows like what I believe is the agile ways of working, to have teams which have got autonomy, alignment, and excellence. And I'm not going to bore you with the whole agile manifesto. We all know what it means, right? You set a vision, and then you go about building it, and you get a feedback. But the most important missing part, which I've realized in the last 15 years, is research. And in banking, actually, we always do reactive research. So what we do is we give something to the customers, and we try to understand whether the customers like it or not. And if they don't, then the feedback comes in, and we try to improve it. But we don't upfront go and ask the customers, how do you manage your money? How can we help you manage the money? It's all reactive and not proactive. Because, and as I said, reactive is very difficult because, as we said, people don't talk on social media, and everyone reacts differently to the money, right? One of the things we used to do, in the banking segment is, so we've been on this journey, especially in my product area, for the last 3 years. And we've come up with this kind of a model you might have heard somewhere called fresco. So we kind of generalize people based on how they move through the life. And I give this very good example. Money follows you throughout your life. When all of you were kids, when you wanted something, let's say a doll or a car, right, which was actually money, what you used to do? You used to pray to the God, believe Santa is going to come down the chimney and give it to you. Then you grew up and you realized, well, that's not really how it's done, so let me get a good profession and I'll earn money and buy it. So everything you do in life is being followed by money. So the problem in 2018 we had was, so we just kind of generalized and said, okay, different people have different spending habits, right? A lot of you in this room are what I categorize rising Mets. You're young people, you're earning, you've just joined the job, you started earning, you're living in the metropolitan cities, so there's possibly a generalization of how you're going to spend. Some of you have got own homes, so you've got a mortgage. Your mindset when you're spending your money, managing your money is going to be totally different. Your most important thing would be possibly the mortgage. All your money would spin around it. And then, you can say you're high-income professionals, so some of you just earn a lot of money. So if you have Floyd Mayweather or Trump, you won't bother about it, which, by the way, are ideal customers for us as banking, because they are totally open about how much they earn and how they spend it, right? So when I see, I'm a big fan of Floyd Mayweather and Trump just because of the product area I come from. They are like totally bland about it. This is how much I've got, and this is how I spend it. But that's just a very few in the world, right? So it's a seismic kind of challenge for us. So in 2018, we came up with this fresco model, and what we do is we have labs, we bring in some customers, which kind of we think fit in these general models. So maybe someone who's a rising Met, someone who's a high-income professional, someone who is a home-owning family. Obviously, there are others as well, vulnerable customers as well, over 60s, we bring them in. Because the demography of the customers we serve in banking is so huge. 75% of our customers are 60 and above, right? So all social media goes out of the park for them. They're not on social media. They hate social media, right? So a lot of the traditional, I shouldn't even call it traditional, but a lot of the usual research methods don't apply to us in banking. So we went to a journey, we are going this journey of 3 years where kind of our focus is going from this reactive relationship and a relationship of mistrust with the customers and bringing in research so that we can be proactive in what we do. And henceforth, we kind of tried this tool called in demo, and what it generally means is in the moment. And I think it's such an important tool, because when someone told me it's in the moment, and that's where we want to reach out to our customers when they are at their own comfort. The problem is when you sit someone down across the table and you say, this is a task you have to do, people shut down more money. Either they don't tell you about it, or they lie. Yes. People do one of the two things when asked about money, no matter how good or bad you are. Either you will not tell it, or you will lie about it, right? So it was kind of, very much about, can we talk about your money in the kind of safety of your house at a time when you're convenient about it, and in a way you want to talk about it. Not in a way we want to ask you about it, but in a way you want to talk about it. So which is what this tool kind of helped us to kind of work through. It is especially helpful for vulnerable customers, because the one thing nobody wants to talk about is, how much did you spend on betting? These are the darkest secrets people don't even tell their partners. Why do you spend £100 every month on betting? Why do you want to spend on lottery? Nobody wants to talk about it. And these are the things where you have to bring people in the comfort of whatever brings them comfort, whether it's the house, whether it's the time of the day, to talk freely. And we as humans have a tendency to drop barriers the moment we are openly asked anything about our money. So this tool, and as Lucinda will kind of explain, in my view, helped us at least have a connection with our customers during research in which they could give us honest and open kind of insight into what they wanted to do. So over to you, Lucinda.
Lovely, thanks, Henrik. Okay, excuse me. I've got a boring slide here to talk about a very exciting tool, which is the Indemo thing. Anurag and I are obviously not here to sell Indemo. We're talking about mobile ethnography. This is the platform we use. There are obviously other platforms. 5 years ago, I used to work for Marks & Spencer's, big British retailer, and we use something there called the Thinking Shed, which does very similar stuff. Just a couple of sentences about myself. I am a qualitative researcher by profession. I've spent a lot of my life doing focus groups. In England, instead of just doing it on one-way labs, historically we literally went to recruiters' homes and did research in the suburbs. So I've got a lot of history of face-to-face research, and it's what I love. That's kind of, that's what's paid my mortgage, being a qualitative researcher. And I was a freelancer and I ran my own company. Moving forward, I moved in from market research into design research or UX research, which is, subtly different but has the same underlying values, that you're looking at effectively customer motivation and what makes people engage with things. I've been lucky to end up working with Anurag, and as he's described, we've got this kind of really interesting challenge of trying to get under the surface about how people think and feel about their money. It would be far too long a story to tell you all the methodology we use, so we're just kind of focusing on this one thing, but we obviously look at it in a sort of triangulated way, so we've got kind of masses of data coming into the bank from all sorts of sources. And this is just something that we did. We actually did it as a proof of concept. So, we're talking about it having just run one study. We were also kind of slightly given a fait accompli because our sort of procurement people, which you can imagine is kind of massive because of the organisation we are, we said we wanted a diary tool, and an ethnography thing, and it has to go through all sorts of risk committees, and I have to mention the dreaded GDPR, how we kind of store people's information, particularly when we're storing videos and pictures and data about their spending, is obviously kind of absolutely essential, which means that I can't show you a lot of the really exciting stuff. I can show you on a one-to-one basis, but I can't kind of show you at a conference and have it all recorded. In essence, everybody knows what Instagram is like, and I think the Indemo tool is similar to other proprietary tools. It works like that. You get a notification that a task has been uploaded. You do the task, you send it in. The researcher, and indeed any stakeholders who've got access to the logins, can instantly see what's been uploaded. you've got a constant dialogue. So, I mean, it gave me quite a sort of hard job. I mean, this is my word of warning to everybody, that it was a sort of 24/7 job, because when people uploaded their little videos, I didn't want to just say, Helen, thanks for your video. I wanted to say, Helen, thanks for your video, and I like the story about the rabbit. So I'd got to watch the video to then, I didn't just want to do a generic response. So I was doing it at the weekend, all the time, but it was fun. And because, as I said, the beginning of my story was going and meeting people face to face in focus groups, I was absolutely amazed at how engaging and personal and human this felt. These people, they're not in a chat room. I mean, there are other programs that do that. These people were posting their stuff into me. They weren't looking at each other's stuff. But, I mean, because it was over 3 weeks, I developed a different sort of relationship than you develop in 90 minutes in a kind of focus group with people. So it was a really good experience. It was a really fun experience. What else can I tell you about it? Anurag's kind of touched on this, but we talk at Lloyds a lot about mental models. So we're trying to understand where people are coming from and the whole kind of context and the whole kind of lifestyle, which obviously influences their views about money management and spend. And we work in a mobile-first lab. We're also doing stuff on browser and on the internet, but we design everything mobile-first. Hence, it was quite interesting to be using a kind of mobile testing method for mobile-first materials. Okay, as researchers, you'll be interested in the kind of nitty-gritty of how did we find the people, how did we incentivize them, etc. So, as I say, our proof of concept was 20 participants for 3 weeks. Obviously, one of the benefits of kind of like a diary study is the longitudinal aspect. So if we were using this again to look at attitudes to taking out a mortgage, for example, you'd probably want to extend it longer than 3 weeks, but that's just what we had in this instance. We had 20 people, which was good because I could sort of just about cope with knowing who those 20 people were when I was responding. I could kind of remember their first upload, which is their sort of intro bit, etc. More than 20, you begin to kind of lose a sense of who the individuals are. We gave them 20, the way the program works is through these tasks. And we sat around as a team and thought, right, because we were sort of suddenly told we got permission to use this tool, and we had to kind of really kind of scrabble together some ideas about what we were going to do with it, because it kind of came out of a hat kind of suddenly. And because it was a proof of concept, we'd got to like wrap it up in 90 days. So we kind of went into it fast. But what we decided as a team, and I think this kind of really was massively beneficial, is let's not just ask people about money, let's ask people about their lives and then like slip in some money questions. And of course that gives you much richer contextual stuff. And as Anurag has said, kind of anything you ask people about kind of has some financial implication anyway. And one of our really good copywriters had this great idea, let's ask them about food, let's ask them about food shopping. And I sort of thought, oh God, this is a bit going off at a tangent. Why are we asking them about food shopping? But it was actually really revealing because people could, we gave them kind of quite a loose brief. They could interpret it however they liked. Some people showed us the inside of their fridge. Some people showed us their takeaway. Some people showed us the bill for the restaurant meal they had last night. And it's kind of like a proxy for how affluent you are or how squeezed you feel. You can tell a lot about people in terms of which supermarket they shop at, etc. So that was super interesting. So yes, we asked them a lot of kind of money stuff, but we warmed them up by asking them more user-friendly things about their shopping and their life. And then, as I say, the point of 3 weeks is to do some kind of tracking, which would be more relevant if we were asking about a product purchase which had stages. But we did ask them each week, tell me anything exciting that's happened, or no, any kind of surprises or any pain points, I think was what we tracked. And recruited across brands and segments, Anurag's told you we were looking in this instance at high-income professionals, rising metropolitans, and home-owning families. And the recruitment was done via sort of standard qualitative researchers. But we do probably too much work in London and the South East. And obviously, because this is online, we could say get us people in Scotland, the North, the South. And yes, we would have had we did get a more diverse audience, because by definition, people could do it at home, etc., etc. You can probably guess what a task is. So they're sent a little description. They're told, do you want to, you specify whether you want a photo, a video, or a note, or a screen recording. You can post, several tasks at a time, or one by one. It's got all sorts of different ways in which you can do it. This I find interesting. It might not make a lot of sense to you, but I mean, again, coming from a market research background, I'm used to asking, kind of quite long-winded formal questions. I'm talking quant now, but on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 means low and 5 means high, what do you think about blah, 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 blah? In this day and age, people are much more snappy and conversational in their language. So these are the titles of our tasks, and you can probably see some of them are quite self-explanatory. So Money Talks was, draw a picture of where your money goes. And I was amazed at how simple, we gave people really simple instructions, partly because we wanted people to be creative. We didn't want to guide people too much about how they responded. But it was a massive learning for me that you can make the questions just much more, particularly for a bank. It hasn't got to be in bank language. You can make it much more every day. And I sort of like to think that because our questions were creative, we got a more creative response. So what did we get? I mean, we got a massive volume of stuff. So, more than 500 detailed contextual customer stories. I've still got all these videos that I've got to do analysis on, and we didn't pay for the video transcripts. So if you're doing this, for God's sake, pay for the video transcripts, because, yeah, you want to watch the videos, but you don't have to do all the transcribing yourself. So we got reams of information, and we got information that we could use the day it came in, plus there's a whole kind of repository of information that we can go back to. So this just sort of gives you an idea of kind of what one of the dashboards looks like. And as I say, anybody that's interested in the detail, I can show you. Like any dashboard, you could look at it by gender, men versus women. You could look at it by our different fresco segments. You could look at all the responses to one question. You could look at all the picture responses. There's a million and one ways in which you can do it. And you can tag it. So we're interested in people's views on overdrafts. So we could tag any comment that was made about overdrafts. And then we've got, instantly, if a stakeholder said, as they often do at our place, right, we need a comment on overdrafts tomorrow, we could pull off here, 50 anecdotes about people's overdrafts. So it's very flexible. This is, I was talking earlier about the food one. So, I mean, I love that picture of a cake. Somebody's taken a photograph of some fantastic cake they've made. So, massively fascinating. Anybody that's interested in ethnography, anthropology, or the rest of it. Yes, we weren't there in their homes for 3 weeks, but people were very open, I thought, about what they showed us. We work with service designers. They're obviously very interested in mental models, how people think. So when we ask people, what, as with the title of the talk, where does your money go? And, I love this. It's your family, your home, your car, etc. Just, it speaks volumes. And we've got zillions of these pieces of paper, which are just really helpful for us. This looks more boring on the screen, but it's just to show you that, I guess people, God knows, I could look at what time of night people were doing this, but people put in so much information, and you can see the sorts of ways in which we can use it. The tool automatically makes nice word clouds for you. And this, it's just interesting, isn't it, what jumps off the page, that people are talking about their clothes and their holidays. We know that's what people like thinking about, clothes and holidays. This savings is really small, and we're worried as a nation about how little people save. The word pensions doesn't even appear on the page. So wrapping up, you can tell that we're really enthusiastic about this. And as I say, we're not trying to sell in demo. We're just interested in the idea of mobile ethnography. 19 out of 20 of our people kind of stayed the course. People rated it really highly. There was a little blip at the beginning that we were trying to get this out at a bank holiday weekend. So, you know, we lost one person because of our messy timing. And I think we would have had a 9 out of 10 score again if our timing had been better, just when we launched the thing. And, you know, this business about faster, cheaper, higher quality, I really didn't think I'd say this at the beginning, but this was faster and it was cheaper, but it wasn't low quality, which I find very interesting. Are you going to say the last sentence?
Yeah, so indeed, I think I already described a lot of it, but for me, the highlight of this was we got the people to open up about a very sensitive topic. And a lot of people recognize a lot of other things, sexuality, religion, and all that stuff, and we're like, these are sensitive topics. But believe me, talking about money is right up there. People don't like to talk about their money. They don't want to talk about how they manage their money. And I think this tool helped us get, in a very creative way, an insight into what customers are thinking. And now we've got loads of data which we'll now analyze. So that, for me, was the highlight.
So sorry, we've kind of nearly taken the whole time, but if anybody would like to ask us any questions.
Hi, my name is Maria from Market Logic here in Berlin. Thank you so much for your speech. And I had a question to both of you. You've mentioned that Lloyds has 9 different brands. And of course, that the financial services industry is, privacy is very important. So my question is, do you share research and insights across the group from different banks, and how do you leverage and how do you make sure that the research from different parts of the organization is used across the group?
So this is the beauty of it, because Lloyds Banking Group is, customers don't realize that the back end is the same big corporation. We have got GDPR compliance, so yeah, we can share data across the brands, even though customers perceive it differently. It's an interesting point, because if you look at the rating of our apps, so Forrester does a rating of all the financial apps across the world. It is kind of recognized. All the 3 apps have got different ratings, but actually the functionality and the lookout and the UI and the UX and the content is exactly the same. It's only the colors. Lloyds is green, Halifax is purple, and Bosch is blue. And that's just so fascinating for me. Exactly same. There's no fundamental difference in that.
The tone of voice and copy is different, though. So, I mean, the brand personality is different. Yeah. But it is a very interesting comment about content versus presentation. Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your point, yeah, we have that flexibility, which is obviously one of our strengths, to use research across the brands.
Thank you.
I have one. If we look into how you do it, mostly through proxy, that's how you're going to derive your knowledge. Proxy needs to be coded. How did you cope with your own bias and how you interpret what was written for the proxy to work the way you want?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure I understand your point about proxy, because with the bias thing, and you know, we have behavioural economists working with us, and we talk every day about bias. So I'm not saying I've got the answer. I'm sort of slightly going off at a tangent that when I'm in a focus group, my presentation, my voice, everything about me kind of like gives away loads. 100%. Whereas it was quite interesting in this. I didn't do a little video of myself, so I mean, I don't know who people thought they were responding to as the moderator. But as the moderator, I was kind of invisible.
But you got your answers, like the drawings that you had, or the pictures that you received. Yeah. And this needs to be interpreted somehow.
Sure. No. Well,
and that's where the bias. That's where the question is from.
But the way that we work, and this is a long conversation, is, and this is perhaps sort of what might be different for some other people in the room, perhaps not the UX people, is that as the researcher, I don't own the results or the interpretation. So let's say there was in a team of 10 of us working on this, an engineer, a business analyst, a product owner, a service designer, blah, blah, blah. So the interpretation is done in a workshop with multiple voices and multiple perspectives.
Okay, perfect.
And you're right, it's a big challenge.
Oh, it is.
Money is such a thing that I have my own view on money. I'll give you an example. For me, because I'm so good at managing my finances, I never care about overdrafts, right? I've never been in an overdraft. I don't care whether there's an overdraft. But we do know that a huge proportion of our customers, especially students, have a habit of living in the overdraft. And we did something a few months ago, and it caused such a severe backlash on social media by the college-going students, because they're saying, we live in our overdraft, and it's totally acceptable. So you are right, there's a bias, and I think that's where we need people in the team and the composition of team to keep us honest, and obviously that's a big challenge.
Perfect. So,
You use a...
Sorry. Maybe we take one last question.
yeah, one last question.
We need to break for lunch.
Go ahead.
We have the wonderful world at scale on your title. When you talk to 20 people, maybe I missed it, but it's a different form of scale that I was looking for. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, well, I mean, you could do 100 people or 200 people. I mean, we were just, for our proof of concept, the budget we were given was 3 weeks, 20 people. And for me, 20, because we typically do 6, user testing is done with 6 people, so 20 was quite an increase.
Lots more questions, but I feel there's no time, right?
But we have lunch where there's going to be a lot of discussion. So, Lucinda, many thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Many
Thank you very
thanks
much.
for coming. I think.
Thank you, guys.